Peace, family. Coconut knife. Gotta take that coconut and hit it with that knife. Feel me? Take the top off like that. Feel me? Take the top off like that. Cut the top. Then you gotta cut into the nut. Now you gotta cut into that nut. So you just gotta keep hitting that nut until you carve into it. For those of you who want to know how to open up a nut, I usually get it like in 2 tries, but I guess I'm trying to show y'all how to do it. There it is. Get into that nut. There you go. Yeah. So it look like that. Hit the top of that nut off. Bam! You know what I'm saying? That's how you get into your coconut. Take that, then you cut around that little white. Feel me? And get rid of that. And there's your hole. That's how you open a coconut. Feel me? So you just gotta keep hitting that top. Bam, 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 bam. Going around. Once you get this part off, once you get that part off, then you gotta hit into the nut. Get into that nut so that knife is stuck into that nut, and then you pop it open like a soda. Pop it open like a soda top. Boom! And then you remove it, and there's your water. Feel me? Oh, what a refreshing taste. Sweet too. Coconut every time. Every time. Works every time. Now, on with the message. Okay? I'll be doing more videos like that for y'all because I started a new YouTube channel. It's called Eco Warriors TV. And it's about eating natural, living natural, eating chemical-free foods and having a toxic-free mind. Eating chemical-free foods, having a toxic-free mind. Eating natural and living natural. Taking you back to a natural way of living. Taking you back to your natural state of mind. I always say we are natural beings, not human beings. We're not human beings. We're natural beings because we come from the natural world. So I'm going to educate you on that. I got a lot of years in cooking, so I could definitely educate you on in the culinary art side, how to cook and prepare, vegan food, good food. Vegan food is not vegan food if you got a toxic mind. Let me say that again. Vegan food is not vegan food if you got a toxic mind. If your mind is toxic, it doesn't matter what food is going into your body. If your mind is toxic, the food might as well just be just as toxic, because your mind changes the frequency and vibration in your body, which changes the chemical properties inside the food that you're eating, the biological genetic properties inside the food that you're eating. Your mind changes the frequency. It's like changing a TV station. It's like changing a channel on a television. When you're changing a channel on a television, you understand? You're changing the frequency. You understand? And you're tuning into a different mind or a different program. Well, your mind is the knob or the remote. Your mind is the knob that changes the program of your genetic structure. So when your mind is toxic, then the food that you are eating becomes a different programming now. Are you understanding where I'm going with this? The food that you are eating becomes a different programming. So you got to make sure, all you vegans out there who claim to be vegan, you cannot be a vegan if you have a toxic mind. Your mind must be filled with pure thoughts. Your mind must be filled with pure thoughts. Now, this video will go up on my channel. For those of you who may be watching now, you good, you lucky. But those who don't watch it later, it'll be on YouTube. Who watch it later, it'll be on YouTube. And that's for Eco Warriors TV. It's Eco-Warriors TV. And if you can't find it, because some people saying they can't find it, then there's a link in my Facebook profile. Go to that. There's a link in my Facebook profile. Go to that. Okay? And what you need to do, my divine, is understand that, you know, I actually was going to talk about something different, but sometimes you just got to go with what's coming out. And I was going to talk about something different, but sometimes you got to go with what's coming out. So I'm going to end up changing the title to this later. But right now, I think what's coming to me is what's proper and what's need to be discussed. You understand? Because we're talking about being natural beings, being natural people, being and eating and living in a natural world. You know, I live in Florida where, you know, it's not the tropics, but it's the subtropics. It's the subtropics of the tropics. And in Florida, you got a natural world around here. You got a natural ecosystem around here. But it is being monopolized by capitalists. It is being monopolized by greed. It is being monopolized by people who want to make money off of it and sell you back what is naturally yours, what belongs to you, what is innately your birthright. What is your birthright? And so they take what is your birthright, sell it to you. It's like selling you life. They're selling you life. It's like, yo, how are you selling me life? Like, you got to pay to be born into the world. Literally, you're paying to be born into this world. When you came to this world through a natural process, and so everything naturally is rightfully yours. Everything naturally is rightfully yours because you came through a natural process. Like this coconut came through a natural process. That makes you a part of the natural world. And so everything that is natural is indigenous to the natural being. That's why I don't call you a human being. I call you a natural being. Because this coconut did not have to become a coconut. It's just a coconut. It be a coconut. You be a coconut. It be's a coconut. And it didn't have to become a coconut. It was a coconut before it fully became a coconut. It was a coconut when it was a seed. It was a coconut when it was a seed. And so it did not have to become and change its mindset or its properties in order to become a coconut. It was a coconut and it formed itself and manifested being a coconut. So you must understand that you are a natural being. And you don't have to try to become anything if you just naturally be who you are. And one of the things that we naturally are children at heart. We are naturally children at heart. And what is the one thing children want to do naturally? They want to play. They want to play outside. They want to play in nature. I got to constantly tell my daughter, put your shoes on. But actually, that's only when we're going somewhere she forgets to take her shoes. But around the house, that's okay. I let her not wear her shoes. I don't wear shoes. I wear these. These are earthing shoes. No rubber soles inside of these shoes. These are earthing shoes. These are called grounding shoes. So every time I'm stepping on the ground, I'm connected to the energies inside the earth. These are called earthing shoes. You understand what I'm saying? There are no rubber soles insulating me from connecting to the energy inside the earth. Natural. You got to live natural. Go back to a natural living. And so I stay connected. You understand? I'm drinking from the earth. You understand? And although I'm in Florida, it's a little chilly, so I dress warm right now. I'm dressing warm right now. It's a little chilly, but I'm dressing warm. You understand? I like to dress warm when it's a little chilly outside because I just like to feel secure. I like to feel warm. I like to feel cozy. But back to what I was saying. Naturally, we are children, and naturally children want to play, and naturally children who want to play usually always wants to play outside in the dirt. They want to play with the sticks. They want to play with nature. They want to play with nature. They want to play with the things that are natural to them. You understand? You remember going Christmas shopping for your children, buying them all them gifts, and only for them to go outside and play with rocks and sticks? They're going back to their natural state of mind. Well, naturally, they're going back to what they're naturally connected to. They're connected to all that is nature. Our mind comes from this natural soil. So let me help you understand something real quick. As I was saying, you can be vegan all you want. But if your mind is toxic, you can be vegan all you want, but if your mind is toxic, that food don't mean nothing. I'll repeat myself. It's just like television, TV. You tune into one program and you say, I want to change the channel to another program. Well, your mind is the remote control, or your mind is the knobs that changes the channel. Your mind is the knob that changes the programming. And so when you have a toxic mind and you're eating vegan food, the programming that you tuned your mind into, you change the channel in your mind, that programming, you understand? That programming changes the property, the genetic property inside the food that you so-called yourself eating, being a vegan. And so that programming changes the frequency of, that's what it happens on TV. You change the channel, you're changing the frequency. What do I mean by frequency? You may be tuning into a program that's highly violent and you watching people shoot each other up. That's a frequency change. You may be tuning into a program where somebody's making love, romance. That's a frequency change. You may be turning a knob, tuning into a program where there's a bunch of people laughing and making you laugh. That's a frequency change. Changing the frequency. Your mind is the same way. Your mind changes the frequency. Your mind controls the programming. So if your mind is toxic and you call yourself a vegan, then the food that you eat is toxic just as well. Because the programming that's going on in the mind changes the genetic structure in the food. And the same thing if you eat meat. See, I don't eat meat anymore. I've not eaten meat in over a year, since last 2017 October. I stopped eating meat. Okay? But I realized it didn't stop me from being poisonous. It didn't stop me from being and having a poisonous mindset. It didn't stop me from having a low vibrational thought pattern at times. It didn't stop me from being hatred. Being a vegan didn't stop me from being hatred. It actually perpetuated it a little bit. And I'm not saying the food did that. I'm saying more so that was because I was just tuning myself into a negative programming. I was tuning myself into a negative programming. You understand? And so you got to understand and watch this. Okay? Now watch this. So when you have a negative mindset, okay, and you're eating meat, when you have a positive mindset, when you have a very high vibrational positive mindset and you eat meat, you would still be okay. And I'm only saying that. Watch this. Don't be like, oh, you crazy. No. Watch this. Y'all gonna be like, oh, I'm good with eating meat. I'm not talking about meat filled with chemicals and actually I'm not talking about meat that's in any area where they're fed pesticides, or they're fed what is that? Hormones, or they're shot with hormones. Any food that's shot with anything chemically, that's not the food I'm talking about. I'm talking about natural food. I'm talking about when you go hunting, right? And that deer doesn't know you're there. So there's no stress hormones going off in the deer out of fear. The deer is not in fear because the deer doesn't know its life is in danger. This is why hunters are always quiet about when they hunt. They always say shh when they hunt, because anything that frightens the deer releases stress hormones in the blood, and that gets in the body, and that gets into the blood and into the meat, and the meat becomes tough and it becomes undivine. It becomes undivine. But when you shoot that deer and it's quiet, the deer doesn't know death is near, and you boom, you shoot that deer falls, and you eat that meat. That is divine meat. And I'm not saying, watch this, that is divine meat. Why? Because that deer died stress free. That deer had no toxic in it. This is what I'm trying to say to you. That deer had no toxic mindset because fear was not released inside the deer out of its life being in danger. And so the deer was still living, frolicking, eating grass, not worried about nothing in the world. The next thing you know, a bullet hits his head, but nothing in the body releases chemically to poison the food. And so meat could still be high vibrational food if your mind is right. If your mind is high vibrational and positive, and if you are eating that food and it is captured divinely, not inhumanely, and it is captured divinely and killed divinely, not inhumanely. If you kill it divinely, then it is good to eat. But if you slaughter it and it's got all this fear in it, knowing that it's going to the slaughterhouse, then that food is toxic. That meat is toxic. Now, your best chances for eating divine meat is going to be in Africa or somewhere in the tropics where the sun is at its highest concentrated, where the sun is at its very highest concentrated, where it's very concentrated on the land. You see what I'm saying? On the land. Why is fire important? See, I'm teaching you how to go back to a natural mind. You understand? Why is fire important? Fire, the element of fire. Why is it important? Because fire purifies. Fire purifies things. Fire purifies. And so when you are eating, when you are living in a highly concentrated area, or when you are living in an area where the sun is highly concentrated on the land, it purifies the food, whether it be the fish in the water, or whether it be the plants coming up out of the ground, or the fruits growing out of the trees. When the sun is highly concentrated in the areas on the land, then everything that is not natural, everything that is not pure to that life that is on the tree or coming out of the ground or in the waters, everything that is not pure inside it gets purified by the fire, by the sun. The sun purifies. It takes out anything. The sun, it takes out anything that doesn't belong. That's what fire does. When you put gold into the fire, it says that gold goes and gets tried by the fire. Gold gets tried by the fire. Why? Because once you put the gold through the fire, and the only thing that comes out on the other side, everything that doesn't belong, everything that is not gold melts away, and everything that is gold stays. Because that is solid. That's solid. The gold is solid. You understand? That gold is solid. So everything about that gold, when it comes through the fire, and only thing that comes out on the other side of that fire is gold, that's pure 100% gold. No impurities on it at all. And so gold gets tried by the fire, but also does your food get tried by the fire, which is the sun. The sun purifies your food. And so even your fish in the waters, not here in America, because the waters are filled with toxic chemicals because of the boats that go out onto the waters to capture those fish, are releasing and dumping toxic chemicals in the water at the same time. So your fish ends up being filled with mercury and your fish is not good to eat. But if you lived in a highly vibrational area, like if you lived in a highly vibrational area like Africa, where the sun is beaming on the land at a very highly concentrated vibration, you could eat fish. If you call yourself a vegan in America, you could eat fish. You may say, but that's a life. That's not, but that is a life. But wait a minute. Everything gets tried by the fire. And so when the sun beams down concentrated on the land, that fish don't have disease in it. Nothing can live, nothing impure can live in the food of the land, because the sun concentrates itself in that area. Nothing impure could live in the food of that land. And so diseases are listen, this is why the European brought diseases to us in Africa. Because there were no diseases found in Africa. I got the book. There were no diseases found in Africa. They brought the disease over to us because we lived in an area in Africa where the sun is so concentrated, nothing could live inside the body impure. It was a pure being you were looking at. You were looking at pure natural man, natural woman. They lived in a highly concentrated area of the sun where the sun purifies anything that is not belonging to that which is natural to the earth. You are naturally belonging to the earth. You are natural to the earth. And so anything that comes from this oil, because it came from the sun feeds and the sun gives life to all that is natural on earth. So when you say, oh, you're from this entity that is in the sky, but wait a minute. You understand? If you were not a natural being, you would not be here right now. Because see, that sun is allowing you to stay here because that sun agrees that sun knows and agrees that you are. That sun agrees that you are a part of this land, and the sun only works with that which is natural to the land. This is why anything that's not made from that doesn't come from the sun gets burnt the fuck up to a crisp. This is why anything that is not indigenous of the sun, it gets, cancer. You understand what I'm saying? It gets cancer. Now, what is it cancer? It doesn't mean like it's a disease. It is the sun is wiping it out. The sun is getting rid of it. The sun is getting rid of it. And the reason why cancer runs rampant in the black community and black people, number one, is diet, food, nutrition. Number two, number one, you're eating toxic filled chemical foods. That's first part. That's the first part. The next part is you're not getting out there, getting yourself enough sun. You're not getting outside, giving yourself enough sun. You need that sun. That sun, this is a built-in sunscreen, sunblock. About burning to a rotten crisp, you feel me? So this is why you got melanoma cancer, melanoma cancer or something like that in white people. Why is that? Well, because they lack melanin. But that should be an indication to you that you come from the sun. Now, the sun, meaning you are naturally indigenous, brought out of the soil of this earth. If you weren't, you would get burnt. The sun would show you and tell you. If you weren't, the sun would show you and tell you. Okay? The sun will show you and tell you. Now, if you eat meat in a highly concentrated area, that meat is divine. A concentrated area meaning a place where the sun is mostly concentrated at. And that's mostly in Africa. That's going to be mostly in Africa. When the sun is concentrated heavenly in Africa. Because that's where the sun, you look at the map, you look at where the equator is on the map, and you will see Central America, South America, Africa, parts of Australia are all in that equator where the sun is highly concentrated. Where the sun is highly concentrated. And when the sun highly concentrates itself to the land, that is the same thing as fire. That sun becomes fire. Meaning it purifies like gold goes through fire and gets purified. Gold goes through fire to be purified. And the only thing that comes out on the other side of that fire is pure gold. All the impurities go away. The same thing with a natural being. When that sun is beaming down on that land, heavily concentrated, it is eradicating and removing out of the food and the water, out of the food and the trees, out of the food from the ground. It is removing all toxic, all chemicals, that anything that doesn't belong. And 9 times out of 10, nothing is toxic in the food. Nothing grows toxic in the food. Nothing grow over there. Nothing will grow toxic in the food anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Because the sun won't allow. The soil is so rich over there. The soil in Africa is rich because the sun is always. Listen, in Senegal, they got a lake called the Pink Lake. In Senegal, there's a lake called the Pink Lake. And they go in that lake. The Africans in Senegal go in that lake and they mine the salt out of that lake. They get the salt. They collect and mine the salt out of that lake. And you can put, I don't care how many Africans you put in that water to mine the salt up out of that lake. The sun will crystallize that water again, creating new salt. The sun will crystallize that water again, creating new salt. And so they're in that water in Senegal, mining the salt up out of that Pink Lake. Okay? And they get that salt, and they can be in there all day and wiping that salt, and they can clean that bedrock of salt out of there. But it won't last long because the sun purifies the water. The sun penetrates the water, crystallizing the ground. The sun penetrates the water, crystallizing the bedrock of the lake, and recrystallizing the salt rock, the rock which becomes salt rock now. So they could never wipe that bed clean of all salt. They could never wipe that bed clean of salt because they're going in there mining the salt. And this could be $1 billion industry. And this could be $1 billion industry, but the reason why it ain't $1 billion industry is because the European would rather own the lake. They would rather own the lake than buy from the Africans and making the Africans billionaires, trillionaires, because there is a surplus of salt in that lake, and they could buy salt. If you want to import salt, you can go over to, if you want to, you could go right to Senegal. And they got a surplus of salt they could feed the world with. You understand? They could feed the world with the salt that they got there. But the European would not buy salt from those Africans in Senegal because you would make them a rich, powerful nation. Can't do that, right? We can't allow that to happen. So what do? They don't buy at all. And so the people in the land usually trade. It's called barter and trade. This is their economy. Their economy is barter and trade. Barter and trade. You're a salt miner or you're a fisherman? Let's barter, let's trade. I need some salt for my fish. I need some fish for my salt. Come on, man. It's called barter and trade. That's how you work the thing. Some mine for salt, some fish for fish. And they trade. Hey, this fish is kind of flavorless. Let me get some of your salt. Hell, let me get some of your fish. And we work in the deal. Barter and trade. And this is how we live as natural beings. We did not have to go and get jobs. We did not have to go and work for anybody. We did not have to work for anybody. We did not have jobs. We did just like that. We went out and and the natural resources from the land that the sun gives us, the natural resources from the land that the sun purifies for us, makes it good for us to eat. And so they show you images that Africa looks like it's a hungry nation. Africa is the least hungry. Africa is the least hungry nation in the world. It's the least hungry continent in the world. I would say America has more hungry people than Africa does. The amount of food that I've watched about 7 documentaries on Africa the other day. you know, Senegal, Ghana, Gambia, South Africa, you know, Pretoria, Johannesburg, you know, Soweto. What else? I mean, you know, Cape Town, all these places. All these places. And the least of their worries is food. The least of their worries is food. They got enough food over there, natural food. They got enough natural food over there they can feed the world. Africa need to be feeding the world. We don't need to be feeding Africa. Africa need to be feeding the world. You feel me? Africa need to be feeding the world. Straight up. You see images of hungry babies and stuff on TV, and you got these missionaries. I'm telling you right now, I have a vendetta for these missionaries because they're the main ones on your infomercials at night exploiting this mess. They're the main ones on your televisions and your infomercials at night exploiting this bogus ass lie, exploiting this propaganda that has nothing, that is not true. Showing you African babies hungry, crying, can you give $1? Can you give $2? These people are over there exploiting the Africans and using them, and what is the face of the one who is over there doing it? Who they look like? What color are they? I mean, we ain't got to make this a race thing today, but I'm just asking you to look at who your enemy, how your enemy comes through to you. Now, we're not talking about race. We're talking about being and staying in a natural mind, keeping your mind natural, keeping yourself a natural being, right? And so you see these late night infomercials, missionaries, Catholic, Christian, whoever they are, going over to Africa, putting on TV, hungry babies. Hell, I just watched about 7 or 8 documentaries. And on some of these nations in Africa. And these documentaries were 2 hours long. Okay? Two hours long. I fell asleep at the last one. I couldn't keep up. These documentaries are 2 hours long. And I'm watching these documentaries of how beautiful the people in Africa are naturally living amongst themselves. Bartering and trade. You got one who carves masks. Wood carving masks. Still the old traditional way. You know, beating a pen. Carving these masks that you see over here in your museums. Carving them with a pen and a hammer. A little wood hammer and pen. Carving these masks. These African beautiful sculpture masks that you see in your museums. They're doing it still today by hand. The women over there are creating fabrics, cloths. You see them sewing. Creating weaving baskets from stuff like this. The husk of a coconut. The husk of a coconut. You can take this, peel this off. Because there's a nut right here. This is the nut. The brown is the nut. But on the outside, that white, that's the husk. It's called the husk. You can peel that off and use it for fire. I've done it. I've made fire with it. You can peel this off and sew baskets with it. Weave baskets. You can use, there's so much you can do with this coconut. This coconut. And then you got the meat inside. This one thing is a meal and an outfit itself. I'm not lying to you. This one thing you can make a meal out of, a drink out of, and a damn piece of cloth out of. This coconut. You can make a meal out of with the meat inside it. You can make a drink out of it with the water inside it. And you can make a kente cloth, a kente wrap around your waist out of the husk. Out of the fibers out of the fibers on this coconut. And hold on, let's add one more to that. And you can start a fire that could cook your food for you with the husk. With the fibers, with the husk of this coconut. This one little thing right here. Some just spilled on my face. This one little thing that nature has given us provides so much more life than you would believe. Making baskets out of this. Clothes, a cloth out of this. A wrap. You understand? Literally. Starting a fire, cook your food with it. Make water, make wine with it. Use the water inside to cook food with. Use the water inside to make wine with. Use the water inside the whatever you want to do. Wash your hair, brush your teeth with. And then take the meat and you can eat it. Or you can make a toothpaste. Or you can make a coconut oil. Lotion. This thing right here does so many wonders. I'm still going. I'm still going on what this coconut can do. You understand? There's so many wonders to this little thing. So many wonders. And you find this in nature. You will find this in the best part of the world. You will find this in the best part of the world. Where everything is natural. Where everything in the world is natural. You understand? And this is why you see Africans over in Africa. And they got 6-packs. Why you think they got 6-packs? Why you think these Africans are sculpted? These Africans you see in Africa are sculpted. They're sculpted. Their chests and their bodies are chiseled. They're not full of fat. The men are not fat. The women are not fat in Africa. These men are sculpted. Why are they sculpted? Because they live in a natural world where the sun is highly concentrated and nothing impure can live in the body. So when you look at the man's body, you see a natural body. You see his natural body and his genetic makeup. He's sculpted like a mother, and he don't go to the gym. And he don't got a gym. They don't got gyms over there. They don't do gyms. They do work. You know what a man is? You know what makes a man? You know what a real man is? Go to Africa and look at those men who go out and they go fishing. And they bring the fish back to the shore. And the women take that fish and they scale that fish, clean that fish. And they take that fish and they're bringing in thousands of fish. Literally, because all the men from the village go out together. All the men from the village go out together. And they're bringing in thousands and thousands and thousands of fish to feed. I mean, I don't know. They could feed the world. That's what I said. Africa could feed the world. We talking about feeding Africa. No, Africa need to be feeding us. You understand? That's how much food they got over there. That's how much natural resources and surplus they got over there. They don't need us to feed them. Hell, they need us to leave them alone. But because because my mindset is my nationality, I identify as an African, I'm part of Africa. Still some left. So when you look at Africa, you are seeing a natural world over there. And in that natural world, what you are witnessing is, look at these people's bodies. Look at the men's bodies. I noticed watching these documentaries, all the men are under 180 pounds, 160 pounds, 185 pounds, maybe at tops. These men have like 180 pounds. All chiseled muscle, defined. They ain't strong with big muscles going everywhere, but they're defined. The muscle is defined. You can count the 6-pack. You can see the chest is chiseled. Why? Because they live in a natural world. Because the sun is so highly concentrated over there that nothing impure can live in the body. So only thing that's in the body is the body itself. Only thing that is in the body is the pure body, that everything that belongs in the body. Because the sun is so concentrated. The sun purifies everything like a fire does. The fire purifies everything. This is why it's good to burn fire at night. Or burn fire. Some of you do saging, but that's not enough sometimes. You got to do a big ass sage. You got to burn a fire. And when you're burning that fire, you understand what I'm saying? You're purifying energies from around you. You're cleaning. And you're cleaning, literally cleaning things off you that do not belong. Certain energies. I talked about being vexed in the video last night. How you become vexed. Because you got all these energies around you. Huh? You got all these energies around you. And you're pouring out so much into people. And they're giving you back their energy, using you as a cycle, a dump cycle. But you have nowhere to, pour out into. And so you got to use certain things like the natural world, the natural elements, the water. Go to the beach and do beach meditation. Walk in the beach. Get your feet in the ground. Get your feet in the water. You know, walk on the earth. Get you some grounding shoes. Get you some earthing shoes. And stay grounded. Stay connected to the energies in the earth. You understand what I'm saying? Get you some fabric. That way it's breathable. It's not, you know, y'all don't even understand that some of y'all clothes are putting toxic chemicals inside your body. Some of the things you wear, the ink from the fabric the ink from the fabric is getting in your body. You don't even know some of your clothes is making you sick. Some of your clothes is making you sick. You got to wear breathable. This is why in the desert of Africa they wear things that is penetratable, breathable. You understand what I'm saying? They wear things that is that their cloths are made of. Their cloths, not just certain colors, but their cloths itself, the material itself is breathable. It doesn't stick to the body. You understand? It's breathable. This is why you got to start wearing breathable clothes. You understand? Because some of you don't even know your clothes are getting into your pores. The ink from your clothes, off your clothes, gets into your pores. And you get lead poison. You feel me? You don't even know that. So you got to be careful of the clothes you even wear. Stay loose. Let your clothes stay loose. Y'all be wearing that tight ass shit. That shit ain't doing nothing for you. You understand? But making you more sick. And that's why I talk about, women not supposed to be wearing bras and men not supposed to be wearing drawers. This is where part of your cancer issues come from. You understand? When you put on a bra, you're upholding the circulation of blood. You're upholding the circulation of blood, which causes a coagulation of blood inside the breast because the blood is sitting in an area for too long without circulation. Because you're wearing, especially you women who wear sports bras. You the main ones. You women who wear sports bras, you the main ones. You don't understand that. You're cutting off blood flow and circulation. And so the blood has to, the cells inside the body cannot travel and move. And so you're causing a coagulation of blood, which causes a clot. And that clot begins to feel like a lump. And then you go to the next thing, you go to the clinic and you feel that lump. And you're like, what's this lump, doc? And the doc say, oh, that's cancer. That's cancer in your breast. Because you don't allow yourself to let yourself hang and just be free. And allow your breast to just breathe. And same thing with you men. Same thing with you men. Wearing drawers, always wearing boxers, tight ass boxers. Wear loose boxers if you're going to wear boxers. Don't wear tight briefs. Because you're upholding in your let me say it, in your nuts. Okay? I gotta say that. You're not allowing yourself to hang. And them boxer briefs are keeping your nuts compressed. And that stops the flow of blood. This is why a lot of men become what's the word? Impotent. Impotent. Not able to make babies. Not able to make babies, you feel me? Why are you not able to make babies, man? Because you wearing them damn tight ass boxer briefs is why. You wearing those tight ass boxer briefs. That's not natural. That's why I want you to subscribe to my channel, Eco Warrior TV, Eco Warrior TV on YouTube, because I'm going to be talking about the natural life and how you're supposed to live naturally. I'm going to be putting all this kind of information out there because I study the natural world. I study the natural life cycles and how we're supposed to live. You understand? Trying to get that last bit, right? Drink more coconut water. It's the most divine water on the planet. But if you go look in Africa, those men in Africa are looking chiseled like they go to the gym. When they don't, they got six packs, they got chest muscle, they got biceps. And it's like, where in the hell is this coming from? Well, it's coming from them living in a natural world where the sun is so concentrated that nothing impure can live inside the body. And this is why if you are a vegan over here in America, you can go to Africa and eat meat. You really can. Because nothing impure can live in the land. So when the cow and the chicken are eating the cud, when they are eating from the land, they're not eating sprayed food. They're not eating chemical food. Even if I went over there and sprayed the grass, it wouldn't last long. Even if I went over there and sprayed the grass with chemicals, it wouldn't last long. Why? Because the sun is so concentrated, it would remove it in a day. 24 hours, that chemical that's been planted into the ground will not survive in that high concentration of the sun. It would be gone in 24 hours. You understand what I'm saying? And this is why they had to bring disease to Africa. This is why they had to bring it to Africa, because they couldn't put it in the food because it wouldn't last in the food. They couldn't inject it in your apples and inject it into your fruit, inject it into your vegetables, because 24 hours it wouldn't be there. So they had to bring it to the people and put it specifically in them. You understanding what I'm saying? The food but over here in America, they can shoot the food. They're making you sick through the food. If over here in America, they can shoot the food. They can shoot the food up. Instead of putting it in you like they used to do over there, instead of shooting you with the poison, they put it in your food because it can last in the food here. Because America is north of the hemisphere, north of the equator. America does not, living in America, you're not living in a tropical environment where the food is protected by the sun. Where the food is protected by the sun. The sun protects our food. This is why I said you could go to Africa and you could eat meat. Because what the animals eat, which is the cud, the grass, what the animals eat is pure. You can eat the grass because the soil is pure. And so the animals are eating pure grass, which when you eat the animal, you're still getting a purification of both. You're getting twice. I'm not saying I'm going over to Africa to eat meat, but I am saying this. I am going over to Africa to eat fish. I'm a vegan now, but I guarantee you I will be eating me some fish when I get there. Why? Because the waters are so pure. The waters are so purified because of the sun protects nature there. The sun protects nature from anything impure. I don't have to worry about being sick when I eat my food. I don't have to worry about mercury being in my fish. I don't have to worry about hormones being inside my meat. Again, I'm not going to eat that kind of meat. I'm not going to eat cows. I'm not going to eat, chicken. But I'll still eat. I'll go over to Africa and I will eat me some fish. And I'm saying that now because I know that the waters are pristine. I know that the waters are divine. I know that the waters are protected. Not because of man protects them, but because the sun protects them. Because the sun protects the water. The sun protects the land. The sun protects the food. The sun protects the trees. And this is why I say Africa don't have a hunger problem. You wake up 2 o'clock in the morning, turn on the TV, you see an infomercial. You got a white Christian missionary. You got a white Catholic missionary on TV telling you how Africa is hungry and needs your dollar, And it's not about money to them. It's about a scare tactic of propaganda. It's a it's not about money. It's more about putting you in fear of going. It's more about putting you in fear. Putting an image. It's more about image control. That's all image control. It has nothing to do with money. That's all image control. Control the image of Africa for the Africans in America in the diaspora to be afraid to go to Africa. Why? Because they'll think that it's always in peril over there. They'll think that it's never any food over there. They'll think that it's poor when you get there. They'll think that the people live in huts, which is, to me, is a good thing. The people live in huts. That's a natural way of living. Why? Because the huts are usually made from either bamboo or made from mud. And when you build your hut from mud, it is still connected to the earth. When you build your house from bamboo, you're supplanting bamboo into the ground of the earth. Your house is still grounded naturally. So yes, it is better that they live in huts. I wish I was living in a hut. It keeps me connected to the land. If my house is made of mud, if my house is made of bamboo, it keeps me connected because their house made of mud, it comes out of the mud, which is still on the ground. They're molding their homes from the ground up. Out of the mud, they're molding their homes, shaping their homes like a potter does. Takes that piece of clay, put it on that potter's wheel, and from the bottom up, they mold a vessel. From the bottom up, they mold a vase. And it becomes hardened. and it becomes hardened. From the base of that potter's wheel, they mold a vase, which becomes a place of containment where you can contain things inside of it, like flowers, water. Same thing with a house. That's all they did was, instead of putting the house on a potter's wheel, they put it on the potter's wheel of the earth. And they molded their home out of the mud. And out of that mud, their house is still connected to the earth, which makes them still connected to the energies inside the earth, which makes them still in tune with their higher self, which is their mind, which is the sun, because the sun is the highest version of our minds. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? It's all gone. Are you getting this? So where we need to be going back to, you need to go to Eco Warriors TV. I'm gonna be putting this on I'm gonna be putting this video up there. You need to go to Eco Warriors TV. If you can't find a link on YouTube, go to my Facebook page and hit the link and subscribe, because you're gonna get this kind of body of work coming from me. I will be going to Africa. Okay, I will be going to Africa. You know, so that's coming up soon. Taking a voyage over there. I'll be taking a voyage to Africa, you know, a pilgrimage, so I can understand, see, know everything about culture and history and the traditions of practicing those things still. I mean, it's all falling into place. So I advise you to go and get that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can follow and stay in tune and stay following the download, the message, so you can stay highly knowledgeable of what's going on in the motherland. So I'm going to be putting out a different image. You feel me? I'm going to be putting out a different image of the motherland. You dig? I'm going to be putting out a different image, showing you another world, showing you what they're not showing you now. You got people on YouTube showing you, but I'm coming from a different perspective. I'm coming from a mindset of, if you go back and living in a natural world, returning back to your natural way of life, your natural thinking, you will receive the natural rewards of that. And again, you go to Africa and you look at it. The European will not buy from the Africans because it will make the Africans a billionaire country. The only time the European will buy from the Africans over there is if they get a stake in the claim. The Europeans say, we need to have a stake in the claim here, because we're not going to buy. See, they don't want to buy from Africa. Got so much natural resources. Africa has so much natural resources that the European refused to buy without having a partnership. The European refuses to buy without having a partnership. They don't want to buy. They rather be in partnership so they can get a percentage. Either a percentage of the land or a percentage of the money or a percentage of whatever. But they don't just buy from Africans. They're not just going to go and say, hey, you got all these natural resources. We need to, you know, talk to the people who's in charge about buying some of this from you guys. We want to buy up. We want to be your client, your customers. We want to be customers of yours. We want to be clients of yours. No, the European want to be partners of yours. They don't want to be clients and customers. They want to be partners. And we can't make them partners. Because when we make them partners, what happens? They end up sticking a knife in our back, somehow screwing it, somehow writing up the deal where they take where they own everything. Writing up the deal where they end up owning everything. And we cannot accept partnership with the European. We can't. We cannot, in Africa, you cannot accept partnership with the European. It's out of the question. You can say, no, you could be a customer, you could be a client. We'll make you a client, but we ain't gonna make you no partner. No, we're not making you partner to this natural resources over here. And you go, like I was saying, look at Senegal, which is, it has an abundance of natural salt in the land, in the waters. Go look at that lake called the Pink Lake over in Senegal, and they have an abundance of salt, and they can never get rid of it. Why? Because you can never clean it. You can never wipe it clean of its salt. Why? Because the sun will crystallize the water again, leaving salt rock on the bed, leaving salt on bedrock again of the lake, recrystallizing the water, making it salt. You understand? Salt is just crystallized water. Salt is crystallized water. And there's a lot of minerals in salt. There's a lot of minerals in that little crystallized water of salt. It's really good. And so they see this. They see the natural resources Africa has. But they don't want to be clients of Africa. They don't want to be customers. They want to be partners. We can't make them partners. You can be our customer. And so Africa does what? They don't want to buy from Africa as customers. The Europeans don't want to buy from Africa as customers because of the abundance of salt, the abundance of natural resources over there. It will make them billionaires and trillionaires. It will put Africa on top of the map. It will make Africa rulers of the world. It really would. And this is why they don't this is why they don't buy from Africans. They rather go in partnership because they know what they would be doing. They know they would be setting Africa on a pedestal. They know they would. Africa would be the kingdom. Africa would be the throne. Africa would be the monarchy that everybody looks up to. Africa would be the kingdom that everybody looks to. Everybody would want it. And there would be, and what you see in Arabia, Saudi Arabia, what Bush did when he bought all the oils, when he bought all that oil up out of there, and he made, and you go look at Abu Dhabi. Remember Abu Dhabi was just a desert? Remember Abu Dhabi was just a desert? Go YouTube Abu Dhabi right now. You know who made them look like that? The billions and billions and trillions of dollars America gave to them made them a royal empire. The trillions and billions of dollars that America gave to them because of their natural oil. Instead of coming to Africa, getting it from us, making us a royal empire, the European, America, Bush, went to Saudi Arabia and went to and made their palace even more pristine, even more royal palace. And you go look at Abu Dhabi right now. Go look at Abu Dhabi right now, and what you will see is a nation that was built literally from the sand. You look at the dirt, it's in a desert. That place was a desert not that long ago. That place was a desert. And now it's the city everybody wished to go to. It's the place everybody in the world wishes to go to. You understand what I'm saying? So Africa could be an Abu Dhabi 1,000 times over. Africa could be an Abu Dhabi 1,000 times over. But America is not about to pour trillions of dollars into the African. You crazy? You crazy? They did that for Saudi Arabia with that oil. It made them trillionaires, billionaires, tycoons. They're not going to do the same thing for Africa. And Africa got all the natural resources the world can supply. The world needs. Africa has all the natural resources. And so what you see in Africa is, you see in Africa a barter and trade system. That's their economy. Their economy is a barter and trade. Like I was saying earlier, you sell salt, you sell fish. Let's trade. I need salt for my fish. I need fish for my salt. Let's trade. We barter and trade. That's their economy. But guess what? So what? They love it that way. They love it that way. They rather have it that way. They're happy that way. They're happy that way. They don't want the traditions and their cultures ripped from them. Because to bring in Europeans to buy up all the natural resources rips them and strips them of their traditions, rips them and strips them of their cultures. And so they're like, look, we're happy we don't want it. They're happy that that's their economy. Their economy is the barter and trade system. Our economy is labor, labor force. Our economy is the labor force. You work for someone else. Their economy is we work for ourselves. America's economy is you work for someone else. Their economy is we work for ourselves. And so we might not trade and exchange dollars. But what we will do is we'll trade and exchange goods. You have what I need. You got what I need. Hey, I need baskets so I can collect these fish. Okay? I need baskets weaved. I need coconuts so I can cook I can drink, have something sweet to drink with my food. Somebody goes up and he harvests coconuts off the trees. He harvests coconuts all day long off trees. He goes up and harvests coconuts and sells them in the market. Through trade. Through trade. Everybody has a job over there. In Ghana, you look in Ghana, everybody has a job, a business for themselves. Someone's selling cloth. Someone's selling baskets. Someone's selling sculpture masks. Someone's selling rice, whatever it is. Coffee, whatever it is. Someone is selling it. And they're trading it with other goods. Every day. Every day. All right? All right? So, let me get ready to go real quick. And so, listen. I was going to talk about something different, but I'm going to rework the title later. But we need to be masters of a skill that we already have and own that skill. And I've been a master of, a skill for a long time. I've learned how to cook, and I've learned indirectly through cooking for other people, other restaurants I used to cook for. I've cooked for a collective of 15 years. And through that cooking, indirectly, I've learned things like food nutrition, food science. I've learned the science of food, how it is, how you cook it, how you store it, the nutrition in the food. I've learned a lot of traditions in food by way of indirectly working with food. And so I feel it's important that I bring you a channel worth giving you information that is going to bring you into a higher elevation of going back to living in a natural mindset again. Eating natural foods and eating chemical-free foods and having a toxic-free mind. Eating chemical-free foods, having a toxic-free mind. You do that first through the mind, then through the food. But the food is the mind, and the mind becomes the food. Yes, the mind becomes the food. The food becomes the mind. Both ways. It works both ways. The food becomes the mind. Now, go subscribe. Eco Warriors TV on YouTube. Eco Warriors TV on YouTube. If you can't find the link when you go to YouTube, go to my Facebook profile page. The link is there to a video I uploaded. And click that link. And then subscribe. Because I'm going to bring you a lot of information when it comes to natural living. Natural living. You understand? Eating good, living good, drinking good. I'm going to teach you how to, I showed you at the beginning of this video. If you missed the beginning of this, you want to go back to the beginning and see how I opened up this coconut. Go back to the beginning of this video and see how I opened up this coconut. You want to watch that. You want to watch that so you can see how to get that coconut open. You feel me? It's a simple process, but you learn through other people who know. Okay? Peace and power to my people. Black power to my people. White power to white people. Yellow power to yellow people. Brown power to brown people. That comes from Fred Hampton, who was chairman of the Black Panther Party. Black power to black people. Yellow power to yellow people. White power to white people. Red power to red people. Brown power to brown people. But black power to my black people. I love you. I love me. I love us. Peace.